Hello and welcome to another video. So today I'm going to be drawing a couple of characters from the Naruto franchise. And just to show a bit of what I do before I start working is a lot of the time just draw characters in a notebook, as you can see here with my dramatic hand gestures. So I just have a squiggle around, look at reference material, and then try and just draw them in a way that feels intuitive at the time, without thinking too hard about getting it perfect or anything. So you can see here there's a few other characters. Some of them are from Naruto, there's Soifon from Bleach, you might spy there, and then just a couple of original ones that I squiggled just for fun. So, what I then would do is photograph the page with my iPad and plonk it into Procreate, or plonk the image into Procreate. So, I've gone with Kankuro this time. So then, that layer that I've just dropped in, I'll just minimize or change the opacity, so that I can add another layer on top and then just kind of trace over where I've drawn before, but a bit more intentionally this time, just so it looks as pretty as it can be. So here I am just outlining the main lines I've drawn in. I'm using this brush that, I can't remember the name of it, but it's in the drawing set of brushes. It's got a funny name like Texerat or something like that. But I just really like the way it's so pressure sensitive and you get a lot of nice kind of line from it. And it's got a slight texture to it too, which I enjoy. So yeah. Drawing the old headband and the main kind of hood that he wears, and then from here on in I have a lot of trouble with this eye, because I realise in my original sketch that it just doesn't make any sense. Doesn't look right next to the other eye. So the saga begins. A lot of doing and redoing of this eye. And yeah, I could have gone with purple for these kind of markings he has on his face, the kind of makeup that he adds, because in the anime it is indeed purple, but in the manga it just reads as black, and I know it isn't black, but I just kind of preferred it, so I went with black. So just drawing all of that in. The eye is still not done. Spoiler alert, it needs more attention. So soon I'll be getting onto that. I'm also not that keen on the way I did that bit of makeup there now, but it's too late. So here we go, doing the eye all over again. So Kankuro is a character he's not one of my favourites, but I thought he was such a cool character, especially in the world of Naruto with ninjas, and I thought he kind of exemplified a lot of the more mysterious side of ninjas and the more kind of I can't think of a good word for it, but that kind of bait and switch kind of thing, like I think in the Chunin training exam when he supposedly loses to one of the Sound Village ninjas? I don't think it is actually. Anyway, he loses to somebody, and then lo and behold, it was his puppet all along. And then in Naruto Shippuden, I really, really enjoyed his fight with Sasori, using all of the puppets that he'd come to kind of train with. Can't remember all of their names now. I think one was called Black Ant, or the translation was Black Ant, and then maybe one was called Bull or something. Ooh, I'm getting really wrong. It's been a long time since I watched it. But I thought it was such a cool fight anyway, and the sound effects for Sasori were really cool too. That tail, that mechanical tail thing was awesome. Pardon me. Anywho, so without being too precise with colour, I just grabbed a dark grey to do the hood in. And again, I'm using that same brush. I've just enlarged the size of it a bit, just because I really enjoy the texture it gives. And you can you can push harder and get more of a kind of like stronger, more saturated put down, if you will. Or you can press lightly and you get like a nice gentle textured little put down. That's my new favourite phrase. So here I'm just going over certain bits just to add a bit more definition, shadow. But overall I think I was pretty okay with it. And because I've been a bit clumsy around some of the edges, I was just colouring it just to get it laid down, and then I knew I'd go in afterwards with a rubber or eraser and tidy up the edges a bit. Neaten those up. And I think I'm just using the technical pen, I think that's what it's called, as the eraser brush, because you can get nice and precise with it. And for this I think it's needed when tidying up. And there's another pen that I think I was using when I first started using Procreate, and I thought it was going to be the one I'd really enjoy, but it was kind of strange, acted in an odd way. It was kind of, the best word I can use to describe it is gluey. So then I discovered Technical Pen, and so for a while I was using that to draw outlines and things, but over time I've just come to prefer a bit of texture. So I'm just colouring the headband here. Gone for a lighter grey. Looking like a real monochromatic piece, this one. So then I think what I do is I alpha lock the layer, and then just so that I can, add a bit of tonal definition to it without going outside of that layer's data. And now I come to colour in the face. So I think I've gone with a pretty generic skin tone here. I can't say I was exactly true to character here, but I remember him being quite pale. I could be wrong about that, but I think he was quite a pale character. And then I think I'll just go in again, and I've just used a clipping mask, I think it's called clipping mask anyway, on the layer below, so the skin tone layer, and then I can just kind of shade freely without worrying about going over any of the other layers. And then underneath that I'm going for this this was done from memory, so the underside of his cowl or hood I thought was a light blue, so I've gone with light blue. It could be completely wrong, and I haven't colour checked it since, because ignorance is bliss. So that's what I gone with. Plus, who's to say he couldn't just change his little hood sometimes anyway. And then I think I go on to do the little straps. Kind of something I wish I'd done in hindsight now is added like the hint of his kind of wrapped up puppet behind him, but I didn't do that, and now it's too late, and I'm about to have a cat jump on my lap, so just waiting for that to happen. Come on then, come on. There we go. Okay, and then just completely ignored this, so I just grab a textured eraser and just kind of cloud out the sort of colours, just to create a nice little soft edge. Anyway, moving swiftly on, I then move on to Yamato, who was one of the kind of main characters in Naruto Shippuden, or he was pretty main, and then he kind of went off the edge a little bit. wasn't so featured anymore once the war sort of got going, which is a shame because I thought Yamato was a really cool character, especially when they went to go and when they went to find Sasuke the first time in Orochimaru's hideout, and he got a bit owned by Sasuke, and then there was a point at which he kind of like said, I'm gonna have to stop holding back or whatever, and they did this really ominous panel on his face looking really serious, and then it didn't really go anywhere, or I don't remember it going anywhere cool. And then the rest is history. I think his coolest fight in my mind was in, this is pretty sacrilegious, but in one of the filler arcs, and oh god, I was trying to remember what the filler arc was even about now, but there was some character he was fighting against who was another kind of it was an earth type, an earth type ninja, so he was, his main element for his techniques was earth. And oh no, could he use earth and water now? I'm thinking no. Anyway, long story short, Yamato summoned a big tree to grow around this guy, and just basically it grew so big and then just crushed him, and his face went splat on the wood, and I thought that was the coolest thing he ever did. And it's just a shame it was in a filler arc. I also thought it was kind of cool that he had the kind of wood style jutsu like the first Hokage, but they portrayed it in quite a different way, so it was more uniform and more kind of geometric, I suppose, because it would always be like kind of oblong shaped pieces of wood rather than like free kind of tree growth, like natural, which I thought was another kind of clever thing to do, because it spoke to their characters a bit. So Yamato is a bit more kind of bit more by the book, a bit more serious, whereas Hashirama was more of a free spirit. So it was kind of cool the way they showed that oh god, I should have remembered the name of the mangaka, for goodness sake. Is it Kishimoto? Oh god, correct me in the comments. I think it's Kishimoto. Oh, this is so embarrassing. Anyway, this is what you get for not doing your research beforehand. Anywho, it was cool, I thought. And it was Anbu, that's what he was a part of beforehand, wasn't it? So, the kind of mask-wearing elite ninja of the Leaf Village. So, a cool customer. So, I've just gone with a kind of like flesh tone here. Again, pretty generic, I suppose. Oh, it's a bit embarrassing, but the cat just farted and it's really smelly. Oh gosh. Oh. Oh well. It's a good thing nobody watches these videos. It's pretty embarrassing. At least I didn't fart. Okay, so then I've just gone to shade in the face there. Again, I think I used a clipping mask. I didn't quite pay attention just then. I either used a clipping mask or I used an alpha lock. So on the same layer or on the layer above. Either way meant I could shade without worrying about going outside of the lines or outside of what I'd already coloured. So it's a real quick way of doing that. This hair layer, I think I just end up just doing one flat colour, even though there's texture to this brush, which I like, obviously, as I mentioned. Because I don't remember Yamato's hair being much of a kind of focal point. It was just pretty flat the whole time. Flat as in colour-wise. And there are quicker ways to colour in like this, but I think I just quite enjoy the process of colouring in, so that tends to be what I end up doing a lot of the time. Sometimes if there's a really large area, I might choose to go about it a different way, but on this occasion, just colouring in the old school way. You know, there's still fun to be had in the traditional way of doing things. Not that this is the most traditional thing in the world, using an iPad, but anyway, so I think at this point, okay, so we'll change the tone of the helmet type piece, and then add some light and shade to it. You can't really tell actually looking at it like this, but I just added a few dark bits and a few lighter bits. And then I just go and add a hint of the other side of this helmet thing just there, because it wasn't looking quite right to me before, and I thought I needed something like that to show that it was actually, you know, there were those bits on both sides. And you may also notice I've gone a bit low on detail with the hair, which is can be quite unusual for a kind of anime style, but just the way I've kind of gone to drawing things like hair. I used to spend a lot of time trying to make it look really pretty, and sometimes I still want to do that, but I quite like the simplicity of this. It gives the effect of the hairstyle, and it's got its own character, I think, done in this way. It feels kind of consistent with the style that I tend to draw in these days. So just adding the kind of characteristic khaki green of the Leaf Village's what do you call these, body warmers? Gilets. Just adding that in, and then I'll kind of use the same erasing technique that I did with the Kankuro picture, just to kind of soften the base of the image. God, imagine if you could actually colour this fast. The cat has gone now as well, so no more risk of farties. I can't remember if I add some shade first or if I erase first, but I think I'm erasing first. So there we go, just tap, tap, tappity, tappity, tap. I'm just trying to get rid of any hard edge when I do this, or evidence that I was colouring in. And then, here I go to add the shade. And I think I added an alpha lock to the layer so I could make sure I didn't go outside of what's already there, so I didn't kind of go over any shading where I'd erased anything. I don't go over that, is what I mean to say. And I think, yes, I did it on the same layer before, and I got a bit frustrated then because I wanted to soften this shading, but I couldn't because it was all part of the same layer. So then I quickly just add it onto a new layer, and then I soften it up with the eraser then, and then basically it looks like I've not done anything. But there we go. That one's done. Thank you.